This journey is a big one, and some of it's intense. Some of it will challenge you, and some give you a sense that life is toying with you, trying to bring you to your knees, trying to underline the consequence of eating bad Chinese. We used to live in a tiny flat at the end of Langdale Road. It was our first house together. And while we didn't have a load of stuff, we squeezed our lives between those walls and opened up the doors to any friends and family who'd slum it on the floors. We loved it in that place, and that is why it's hard to recount the tale that follows, how paradise was scarred. It pains me now to think of happy memories erased by the horrors that the guests at our engagement party faced. But here we go. I've started now. And I must reach the end somehow, although it does involve some stress and some unpleasantness and mess and a smell you can't ignore and something all over the floor. Here goes. We'd got engaged quite young. We were only 21, but our love was going nowhere. We each knew we were the one. No need to wait, and so we didn't. We just let the heartbeat lead. And it led us with great purpose to everything we need. So we thought we'd have a party to celebrate the day when our lives were bound together in this quaint, old-fashioned way. We invited friends from uni, we invited friends from Devon, we invited all the people we could squeeze into our heaven, our cosy little bedsit in a ground floor terraced house in the far-off land of Liverpool, of the Beatles and of Scouse. We took them out for dinner, but it wasn't Scouse we ate. We had a Chinese banquet, and the food was pretty great. There were speeches, there were cheers, there was laughter, there were tears. And as the wine refilled our glasses, inhibitions disappeared. We went for more drinks after. We had a little dance, and in the early hours we finally took our chance to retire to our castle back on Langdale Road, having had a proper party. A party that had showed our devotion to our friends, our devotion to each other, our devotion to a drink and the compulsion for another. As we went through the door, I realised perhaps we'd invited some more revellers than would fit into the gaps that were available to sleep. But as sleeping bags unfurled, the carpet disappeared, and in its place a world of sleeping people, head to toe, nowhere to move, nowhere to go. Just a sea of sleeping creatures huddled like penguins on the snow. A picture of contentment, tranquility and peace, the calm before the storm that was about to be released. Because Kelly had an issue. She'd eaten bad Chinese, and then topped it up with enough wine to start a duty-free, and her stomach couldn't take it, and disaster was in sight for those poor slumbering guests who were on the floor that night. It began with just a sound, like a gulp mixed with a yawn, an unlikely beginning from which calamity was born. The gulp became a belch, became a full and hearty retch. The guests began to wake, but there was no time to fetch a bowl or journey to the toilet. They were hemmed in like sardines, and in those waking moments it dawned on them what it means to be trapped in an inferno with no means of escape. No way to fight the fire, but to lift their heads and gape. The first wave of vomit hit, shortly followed by the smell, like garlic weaponized for war, the unholy stench of hell. Then Alan started gagging, and other guests did too. The lucky ones with access made a beeline for the loo. Some jumped out of the window, to the courtyard out the back, to take a breath of cold fresh air, to gulp, to groan, to hack. The party had turned sour. There was no way to avoid it. Whatever joy that we had shared, the chunder had destroyed it. By this time, we were out of bed, roused by moans and screams, awakened to a nightmare, a technicolor dream, the carnage of our night out, our friends' disgusted cries, at the stench of last night's dinner, laid bare before our eyes. We had to take control. As hosts, we had no choice. We had to hold our noses and calmly use our voice to coax Kelly to the bathroom, to wipe up with a rag, to gently extract Caroline from her sick-soaked sleeping bag, to tidy up the flat and calm the souls within, to use all the kitchen roll and then take out the bin. We pulled it back together, and every soul survived, though with more battle scars than when they had arrived. So we had got engaged, and we had celebrated, such a meaningful occasion about which we were elated. But what we will remember, the main thing that will stick, is the memory of chaos and our friend Kelly's sick. In life, there is experience, and some of it's intense. Some of it will challenge you, and some give you a sense that life is toying with you, trying to bring you to your knees, trying to underline the consequence of eating bad Chinese.